We're gonna talk about Captain Blood.
Captain
next.
Blood. What a title. Which is our first Michael Curtiz picture. He was a pretty notable director.
Of Casablanca fame.
Yeah. I was like reading up a little bit. I knew a little bit about Michael Curtiz. I didn't quite realize like how prolific he was.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 1910s, he worked on the Danish movie Atlantis, which we watched.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, I think I remember mentioning that.
Because he's credited under his Hungarian name, which I have written down. I'm not going to try to say it because I'm not going to do it justice. I'm just going to call him Michael Curtiz. He changed his name twice. Once when he was like very young, and then once when he immigrated to the States and kind of Americanized his name. But yeah, he made like a bunch of movies throughout Europe in the 1910s and 20s in Hungary, in Denmark, and he did a couple for UFA in Germany, and then the Warner Brothers, the actual brothers, kind of poached him.
Yakko and Wacko.
Come make movies in Hollywood, and so I think some point in like the late 20s he made the jump. This is also the first Errol Flynn like vehicle, really.
Yeah, he was a pretty new star at this point, and this is his first leading role, I believe.
And it definitely feels like he is the kind of the movie heir to Douglas Fairbanks in terms of like a charming rogue who does swashbuckling things.
I think Fairbanks is more charismatic, though.
I also do, but I do think Errol Flynn is good at his own version of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Errol Flynn is like such a kind of like classic old Hollywood figure almost.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, he's the guy with the mustache who like does sword fight movies.
Yeah, more or less.
He's who the villain of The Rocketeer is based on.
Right. The sort of a almost foppish, but in a roguish tough way.
Yeah.
Debonair.
Douglas Fairbanks made a pirate movie, The Black Pirate, that we did not watch, but it's like this feels like a Douglas Fairbanks movie in terms of like the tone of it, kind of what it's the type of movie that it's trying to be. But because it's made in the mid-30s,
adventure movie.
Yeah, it does definitely have a different sort of feel to it, because it's a sound movie, and it has more of a like kind of like classical Hollywood feeling than the kind of like silent movie wackiness that.
Yeah, it's a bit more plotty than a Fairbanks movie could be, being silent.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's about a smarmy doctor who
a very smug doctor. This is my favorite thing about the movie, is that it's called Captain Blood. It's about a pirate captain whose name is Captain Blood. That is not his pirate name. That is just his actual. He's just a man named Dr. Peter Blood.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Peter Blood.
That just happens to then become a pirate captain. Like with a name like that, it was destined. Like what other?
Oh yeah.
You know, if your name is Peter Blood, you're gonna do some pirate stuff, and you live during pirate times. It's like it's out of your hands at that point.
This is farther ahead in the movie, but like speaking of pirate times, there's a lot of fun but kind of clunky pirate lingo in this. Like, where Errol Flynn, who is Australian, is saying,
right. He's Australian but speaking in an English accent, and his character is supposed to be Irish.
Yes, right, exactly. And he says stuff like, "Come on, my hearties."
Come on, my hearties. Let's go. I guess he's kind of going for like a mid-Atlantic dialect. I don't know. He kind of just has like movie star speech.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I would describe Errol Flynn just as a presence, is like a movie star guy. Like he's very pretty. Like he's good at doing like stunt stuff, and like he has a kind of a certain sort of innate charm to him, but at the same time there is a kind of like he's much more, it feels like he's putting on a performance more than I think Douglas Fairbanks was. It feels a little bit more labored.
Also, like a movie star, that he goes to William Randolph Hearst parties and has his own mansion with
like secret peepholes in it.
with secret peepholes and two-way mirrors so that he can watch people in his guest bedroom.
Errol Flynn, probably not the best guy in real life. Probably, seemingly based on the fact that he has a mansion with peepholes in it, a real creepy perv and kind of a bad dude.
Maybe he takes the cake from Hitchcock.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like him and Hitchcock got along well. I feel like they did a lot of giggling about the creepiness they were both involved in.
At least Hitchcock is self-aware.
Hitchcock is horny on main.
Yeah, Hitchcock isn't. Hitchcock likes to make movies about peepholes, but he'll just look right at you instead of looking through.
And now for the peephole. Yeah, he'll just like fully just open a door and stare at you.
I think that Vertigo is Hitchcock calling himself out on in many ways, and and so I think maybe that awareness, it's the first step. It's the first step toward rectifying your shady behavior.
Apparently, Errol Flynn, being a sort of relatively unknown actor at the time he was cast in this, he got the part after Robert Donat, who is the guy from the 39 Steps who plays the lead in that, Hannah turned it down because he had also done The Count of Monte Cristo, another like swashbuckling sword movie. Both Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland, who's also in this is like their first big movie and their first big movie together. They kind of went on to do a bunch more, like they're like a frequent on-screen pairing. And this is the second Captain Blood movie. There was an earlier 1920s silent Captain Blood also.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, this movie, I was taken with how, kind of like Bride of Frankenstein, how like expressionistic the sets were, at least in the opening scene. They kind of lose that after this brief opening. But like early on, there's a lot of like, there's like a crazy like street sign that's like almost looks like an arrow that's like pointing towards the house and things, and it's very moody and expressionistic early on, and then it kind of loses that and becomes like we're on a pirate ship with a very obvious painted sky behind it. Which, as fake as that stuff looks, I find it very charming because it looks like Hook, or I should say Hook looks like this movie.
Oh yeah, it's good. And like also like there are parts where they're blowing up real ships too.
Dude, the ship to ship combat movie in this movie rules. All the like ships fighting, amazing.
Like there are like genuine like sailing scenes with humongous pirate ships.
I think some of them are like bigatures. They're like not full scale.
Oh, interesting.
Because looking at the water looks a little scaled down,
I see, yeah.
But yeah, the like special effects in this movie, the like sort of in-camera stuff. I don't know if there's a lot of like optical things in this. There's a couple like rear projection things, it looks like. But yeah, this movie looks great.
Yeah, looks expensive.
Yes, it looks extremely expensive. The first half of this movie, I'm not a huge fan of.
It definitely picks up a lot more once he actually becomes a pirate.
Right, because it's like Captain Blood. It's a pirate movie about this guy being a pirate. He doesn't become a pirate till halfway through.
It's like, is it going to be a pirate movie yet?
Yeah. The first half is him getting... so he gets imprisoned by the wicked English king for providing aid as a doctor to a wounded rebel. And he's like, but I've taken a Hippocratic oath. I must save anyone who comes into my home. Captain Blood is a very, what's the right word? Not smug. There's a better one. He's
self-righteous.
Very self-righteous, exactly. To the point where it's like a little silly.
He's like this very honorable guy who, he's among other kind of, after he's taken in, along with a bunch of other kind of rebels to, I don't know, whatever kind of civil conflict was happening in Britain at the time.
Mm-hmm. During pirate times.
The other people are like genuine criminals, but he is the nice one. He is
right.
He's the one who is taken in for being too good of a guy.
Right. They're like they're all in court, and everyone's like, "Ah, yes, I guilty, I guilty." And he's like, "I am innocent, I." And he like gives a whole big speech. Whenever he's like remotely called out for being like a criminal or a bad guy, he like gives a speech, and it's like he's always like he's a very like morally superior character, I feel like, which I think the movie's intention is for him to be like a very likable protagonist that like you can get behind, but it's like he does it so much that it's like, shut up, dude, come on.
Yeah,
like let this guy be a little bit of a rogue, like let him be. And he does, like, that's almost, I feel like, kind of his arc, is he kind of learns to be a bit more of a roguish hero as opposed to such a kind of morally righteous one.
Right. As he becomes a pirate and realizes that basically it's a story about people becoming so ostracized and marginalized by society that they have no choice but to become criminals.
Yeah.
But they do it in a cool way, which is being pirates.
Yeah. Well, and then they save the day at the end, and therefore justify themselves being pirates. And also they're the cool pirates. All those other pirates are nasty. They have a code. They have the guidelines.
They have their own little pirate constitution.
Yeah, they have the what is it called in Pirates of the Caribbean? The like
I don't know.
I think it's just called the Pirate Code, right?
What's it called in One Piece?
Yeah, so the first half is like a lot of Dr. Blood, who I'll refer to him as that for the first half of the movie. Is sold into slavery in Port Royal, and he gets bought by Arabella Bishop, played by Olivia de Havilland, who's the niece of this awful slave owner, plantation owner guy. Arabella being like related to him, like it's the sort of thing where it's like she is also technically a slave owner, and yet she's kind of like supposed to be a heroic character, but whatever.
Well, she
buys Dr. Blood as like a sex slave, and then
and he like, I mean, kind of, but he also just resents her for it, right? She's like trying to do a nice thing. She's like,
right. She's like, this man is handsome, let me buy him.
Yeah.
The start of any great romance.
And yeah, so he has a beef with her for having bought him.
I mean, understandably so.
Yeah. And so he's not very grateful for her kind of sparing him from the other buyer who would have brought him to toil away in the mines.
Yeah. This movie does have a very kind of like classically old Hollywood like romantic streak through it. Mm-hmm. And part of that is, I think, like Peter Blood's like moral kind of righteousness, and it also the kind of the romantic subplot with him and Arabella is so, I don't want, it's like it's melodramatic, but it's also like every time they're together there's this like, you know, like tinkly like music.
Yeah, like a soft filter over everything.
And it's like all of the dialogue is like so like flowery, and he's like, I would never have thought that a devil could have an angel for a niece. It's all like so dramatic and like, you know, in that kind of, but in a way that I found very entertaining.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know if it's like good, but it's
well, I think the second half is good.
Yeah,
like the second half rules. The first half is like a bit of a drag because it's like this story about like slavery and like escape and fixing the governor's bad gout on his foot.
Yeah, a lot of gout jokes.
Right, it's like it's a story about, you know, slavery in Jamaica, and yet there's like two actors of color in this whole movie.
Well, and they're both
in the background.
Coach.
Yeah, so it's I mean, I know that existed in like white people were sold into slavery in pirate times, but it does feel kind of pointed that it's like every character in this movie is like, why, hello there, sir, I say.
I don't know, it's weird because like she was trying to romance him, right? And then he kind of reciprocates, and she is like, oh my god, you're of much lower status than me, I cannot.
Yeah, it's very hot and cold, those two. But it looks like their kind of escape plan is not going to work out, but then there's a Spanish pirate attack. Some Spanish pirates attack Port Royal.
Some pirates ex machina.
Yes, and so they're able to use that as cover to like escape through the port and like steal one of the Spanish ships while it's empty. This whole scene feels very much feels like a predecessor to the Black Pearl attacking Port Royal in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Would not surprise me at all if like this is a reference point for that, just because like some of it might just be, I thought about that a lot watching this, of like newer pirate movies. I'm like, there's that thing, but part of that might just be like, it's a pirate movie. They all have certain set pieces and like things that happen in a pirate movie. Like
it was making me think about how I just went on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride for the first time recently, and thinking about how I didn't expect to get wet in that
ride. You're in the splash zone.
I didn't know that I just wasn't familiar with the Pirates of the Caribbean as a ride where you have to sit on a wet seat.
Oh, okay. I have never been on the ride, which it feels like an oversight.
It's cool. I like it.
I've been to both Disney parks, or both
really?
American Disney parks. Never been on Pirates of the Caribbean.
This is my first time at an American Disney park, and I had to do pirates.
Anyway, back to Captain Blood.
They're originally trying to escape on a ship that they contact a debtor, get a hold of some money, and they're like, we're gonna buy a ship to all escape on together. That plan falls through when their ship gets blown up in the chaos, and then they're just like, let's just take a Spanish ship.
Yeah, they say the boat's been sunk to the bottom of the briny. And so yeah, then they steal a pirate ship and are like, we're pirates now. We are going to write a pirate code, and we are going to live as pirates.
As a brotherhood of buccaneers, they say.
Indeed. And then there's this like text on screen thing, and it's like, and then they became the best pirates in the world. And it's like, yeah, it would have been nice to maybe see some of that. There was like a kind of a very brief montage of like sword fights in there.
Right.
But it cuts from them like deciding to be pirates to then being the best pirates. In like, well,
clearly they're the best. They would become the best pirates because they're all righteous, good guys,
right?
Who are suave and they buckle swatches.
But I do think they spend so much time in the first half just in this sort of like setting up why these people would be pushed so far to like the margins of society that they would decide to be pirates to begin with. But I wish there was more of a like second act of them actually becoming pirates, I guess.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, all right, now that we're the best pirates, let's have like a different movie start. Before it does the time jump, the Colonel Bishop, who's the person who like had like bought all of them at auction,
the brutal ruler of the island as appointed by the king,
he like climbs aboard the ship and are like, oh, like you've saved us from those rascally Spanish pirates. And he's like, thank you for saving all of my money that they stole. And they're like, get out of here. And they throw him off the ship.
They initially want to hang him. And then he's like,
true, yeah.
That's too good for him. Throw him off the ship so that he can come back later in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. They almost say that. Like, that's kind of the degree to which they're foreshadowing it. Oh, yeah, and then Errol Flynn says, desperate men, we go to seek a desperate fortune. And then the text on screen says, like, off they went. A ship, a handful of men, and a brain.
What do we do? What do we do, Genius Blood?
I guess that is kind of the thing that seemingly, like, sets Captain Blood apart from the other pirates, is that he's a smart pirate.
Yeah,
who
got
is
a
educated.
doctorate.
Yeah, exactly.
Captain Blood, PhD.
That's the sequel. And so then it's like, second half of the movie, they're already the best and coolest pirates around. Everyone loves Captain Blood for being such a good pirate.
To be fair, they're pretty good and cool.
Yeah. We pick back up in Tortuga, classic pirate location. Captain Blood is drinking with a French pirate named Lavassieur, played by Basil Rathbone, famous for being Sherlock Holmes, amongst other things.
Yeah.
He plays French very well, I think. I like whenever he says Captain Blood, it's like Captain Blood. I feel like this character Lavassieur feels reminded me a lot of Belloc from Raiders, which I think is probably not a coincidence. Like, it would not surprise me at all if, like, I think both Spielberg and Lawrence Kasdan have, like, cited Michael Curtiz as, like, a guy that inspired Raiders. Like, that was, like, kind of the vibe they were going for. It's like, oh, this is like a little bit of like a Michael Curtiz type of thing. And so it's like, oh yeah, I'm sure that was like, and then who's the villain? I don't know, like a mean French guy.
He's bothering Blood to kind of join up as the two strongest pirates.
He's kind of giving this sort of like, we're not so very different, you and I speech. Like, imagine what we could do together. Classic villain speech. And so Blood is like, sure, let's team up. And then, like, within the same sentence, like, regrets it. He's like, this was a mistake.
He almost, like, turns to the camera and was like, shouldn't have done that.
But in a much more sort of like, oh, what have I done sort of way.
And then immediately, like, you know, it flashes forward, you know, maybe a couple months into them being pirate buddies. And immediately this guy is too French to stick to their code of don't take ladies as your property.
Yeah.
Hey,
right.
Stop stealing ladies.
Levasseur kidnaps Arabella and keeps her on an island. He's like, let all the other prisoners go, but I'm gonna keep this one very attractive woman as my ransom. Captain Blood is like, not having that. So Captain Blood has a whole confrontation with Levasseur over this, where Captain Blood attacks him with logic first, and then with a sword second.
Which the pen should be mightier than.
Right.
But...
He kind of, in part of his logic attack, he's like, well, if I pay the ransom, then, like, she can come stay with me. And so he like, with a bunch of pearls, he buys Arabella from Levasseur. And Levasseur is like, how dare you, sir? I'm going to sword fight you. And so they have a sword fight on the beach. Which is the first, he
takes an extreme glee in purchasing her.
For sure.
After she owned him as a slave.
Yeah, because at first he's like, pretend that you don't know her, and he like, she sees that he's shown up. He's like, oh, I'm a person that I know. Captain Blood is here, the nice pirate, and then he just like walks past her without looking at her, and it's. He's really kind of like digging the kind of his superiority in this moment.
he's just lavishing it.
But so they have a big him and Levasseur have this big sword fight on the beach, which is pretty fun. Love a good beach sword fight.
Fencing.
I thought he was going to come back later. Nope.
Well, he stabs him too. He kind of dies pretty quickly.
And there's
some blood.
I was assuming that he wasn't really dead. I'm like, oh, Levasseur is going to come back. And it's like, oh, no, he's just, he's done. That's the end.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'd assume that if you get stabbed in the chest and then you're at, like, kind of lying down drowning height in the water, then you're probably as good as done.
I think it's maybe sort of maybe my modern movie sensibilities. I'm like, unless someone has their, like, head chopped off, like, they're going to come back in the third act, you know?
Yeah. We've already seen that water doesn't kill people because of the dad of Olivia de Havilland.
Right.
Which we're going to see him again in 1 second.
So then Captain Blood wants to take Arabella back to Port Royal to, like, return her there. And the crew was like, we don't want to go back there. Like, the entire British Navy's over there. And the guy that hates us. Like, and so they try to mutiny. But then Captain Blood is, like, so agreeable about it. He's like, yeah, okay, I guess you guys can mutiny. Like, you have a good point. And they're like, we take it back. We like it. We'll go to Port Royal.
It was such a weird moment. He's, like, reverse psychologying them.
Pretty much,
like,
yeah.
Doing, like, a... yeah, just doing, like, a, oh, well, if I'm so bad, then go ahead, fine.
And they're like, no, you're not bad. We're sorry for mutinying. Which is, yeah, very funny. And then once they get back to Port Royal, though, they see that it's under attack by the French Navy. And they find out that the old mean English king is dead. And there's a new English king that is not as bad. And that England is now at war with the French, which is why this is happening. They find out that oceans are now battlefields. And so they're like, to arms! We're going to join up with the British again. We're going to fight off the French Navy. And we get this long extended like battle scene between multiple ships
So
shooting
good.
cannons at each other and like swinging
Amazing.
across on ropes, and sword fights and grappling hooks and exploding ships. Oh, it rules.
Yeah.
It's all of the stuff that I wanted out of this movie is like packed into the last like 35 minutes of it.
Yeah.
But it's so good in that section that I'm like, it's been worth this like very belabored buildup. But it leaves off on like the best stuff, kind of.
Yeah.
And then because of this, Captain Blood gets elected mayor of Port Royal and gets to shove it in the bad guy's face.
Yeah, immediately he's
like, I'm gonna mayor your niece, and also I'm the mayor now. Deal with it.
well, yeah,
I'm gonna put my feet on your desk.
There's like an emissary from the king there, and he's like, if you defeat the French, then you get to be king of town. And
them's the rules.
The guy, what's his name? The mean guy who owned them,
Colonel Bishop.
The reason why he's being deposed is because he was out hunting for Captain Blood on his vengeance quest, and then his city was attacked while his squad was out trying to find his pirate white whale. And so he comes back and he's just like, hey, guess what? You found me, and now I rule your city. And then the movie just ends as it began, with Peter Blood being smug.
Well, it ends with him and Olivia de Havilland both like cheek to cheek, like making smug faces at the bad guy.
Yeah. Which it's cathartic. It's fun. It's a really fun end.
Yeah, I do think the first half is like too long, and I wish there was more time dedicated to them. Like, I wish there wasn't that like very stark like time jump where it's like they start being pirates and then they're the best. But I think like the second half has so much fun stuff in it that it like it's well worth watching for that. And I mean there's fun stuff throughout, but yeah, it has a very, I've said this before on this episode, but it's like a very like old-timey Hollywood feeling to it.
Yeah. And that's it. That's all the movies.
Oh, great score on this too. I forgot to mention. By Korngold, a notable composer of film and music. I think that score really helps that sort of like old-timey kind of romantic drama feeling.
I'm glad we're getting scores now. That's
yeah.
We're getting into some good territory, and it's interesting, the early movies that didn't have non-diegetic scores, but you want to have them for a movie.
Yeah. It helps a lot.
And that's it.